I'm Jorge Antonio Vallejos, and you're watching BlackCoffeePoet.com and the Black Coffee Poet YouTube channel. I am the Black Coffee Poet. Welcome to my summer 2013 reading list, and this is the first video blog of the summer on my YouTube channel and my website. So welcome, it's been a while, and I'm here to share with you my reading list. I started doing this in 2012, so now this is a full year. We are in a new year and it's a new season, but I've done 4 vlogs of reading lists previous to this, so it's basically like I'm starting a new year in terms of summer reading lists and vlogs for summer reading lists. So I'm really happy you're here, and it's like boiling hot in my apartment. I'm just chilling, and I've assembled a whole bunch of books here to show you of what I'm going to be reading for the next 3 months, from June 21st until September 21st. I've already started. I'm on my third book, but things are going good. Anyways, I'll share with you section by section what I'm reading. Let's start off with some poetry. So, I've got a book here called Poems from France, selected by William J. Smith. I'm always looking to read poetry from all over the world. It's not just about North America or South America. So, let's dive into some French literature. This should be really interesting. I'm excited. One of the greats, Langston Hughes, working class poet, poet of color, black poet, talks about racism and poverty and the working class and stuff like that. And these are the selected poems of Langston Hughes, a classic collection of poems by a master of American verse. I'm very, 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 very excited. Hero of the Play by Richard Harrison. So these are poems about hockey. I don't like hockey. I actually hate hockey. Weird for somebody who lives in the land now known as Canada to not like hockey. That's me. But I do love other sports such as boxing, mixed martial arts, judo, and soccer. And occasionally I write poems about those arts. So reading this book about poems about hockey will probably help me with that. So that's why I'm reading the book. An all black book by an amazing poet, George Eliot Clark. This is the Execution Poems, about 2 men executed in the land now known as Canada. They were 2 black men, and I think one of them was related to George Eliot Clark, who is the Toronto Poet Laureate of 2013, and he will be featured on my website soon. So I'm reading the book now, then I'll be able to feature him, and I'm pretty excited. But this is the one of the best books ever written in Canada by a Canadian poet. Love Medicine and One Song by Gregory Schofield. Gregory Schofield is Métis. He's a queer poet. He's amazing, two-spirit guy. I got to hear him read, talk to him a little bit. I love his stuff. I already have read this book, so it's a reread, but it's something that I'll be studying for probably the rest of my life. He's a very, very, very talented poet, and I'm glad to say that I have 3 of his books, and that I got to meet him, and that I'm just excited to be rereading Gregory Schofield. Alabanza, New and Selected Poems 1982 to 2002 by Martin Espada. Martin Espada is a Puerto Rican American poet. The guy is the bomb. He's actually a Facebook friend of mine, as is Gregory Schofield. Yeah. So, anyways, I don't know, man. This guy is just really, 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 really good. He blew me away with 2 previous collections that I've read of his. Found this at the used bookstore. Yep, I support used bookstores more than anything. And I'm just excited to jump into some Martin Espada, fellow Latino poet. Well, I identify as mestizo, but I'm under the Latino umbrella. Anyways, Bulletin from the Lowlight by Jay Fisher. I read and reviewed and interviewed Jay Fisher in October 2012. That's on my website. His newest collection called Three. Anyways, this is his first collection, I think. So I want to see how did Jay Fisher progress as a poet. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of like Bukowski. Diane Glancy, Rooms, New and Selected Poems. Diane is native. She's from the States, Native American, and she's a woman. And I support female poets, indigenous poets, queer poets. That's what this site is about. Anyway, so I'm really excited to jump into her stuff. And thank you to the First Nations House Library for giving me this book, and their Resource Center coordinator, Jackie Hamlin Eskima. Land to Light on, Dion Brand. Dion Brand was Toronto Poet Laureate last year. She's also an African Canadian poet. I got to meet her once and I was blown away. She's a really cool lady, and I'm just excited to read her stuff. So Invisible Foreground by David Bateman. I read on David Bateman's most recent collection, which I'm blanking on, but it was really good. So I'm excited to read this. He gave this to me himself. Really cool. And I'm going to be featuring David Bateman pretty soon, his newest collection, but now I'll get to read some of his previous things. Dinner at Madonna's by Kevin Irie. Kevin Irie is a Japanese Canadian poet. He is super fucking talented. I read his book, Viewing Tom Thompson, reviewed it, interviewed him, videotaped him. Check that out in October or November 2012 on my website. The guy is the bomb. He is so talented. So now I'm going to be reading again earlier works by someone that I already like. This time, Kevin Irie. Living in Paradise by Pier di Giorgio di Ciccio. Yes, Pier Giorgio di Ciccio. Anyways, he's also a Canadian poet, and when I saw this at Goodwill, yeah, I buy a lot of books at Goodwill because there's a day where there's 50% off, so paperbacks are $1.25 and hardcovers are $1.75. So I go that day and get books. Anyways, I found this there. Maybe I'll be featuring him because he's in like just outside of my city, so hopefully I'll be able to connect with him. But I'm really excited to be reading his stuff, and he's got a poem here, a poem to a young poet, which I really loved. So let's move on to a little bit of fiction now. Um, as you know, I mix up my reading list. You can't just read all poetry, even though I'm a poet, essayist, and journalist. Like you've got to mix it up. Anyways, The Road to Jewel Beach. I got this for 50 cents at a used bookstore downtown. Brand new condition. It's a novella, but it got acclaim. Joyce Carol Oates has a quote on the back. It seems unbelievable that he has never published fiction before. That says a lot. So I'm excited to read this book. Because They Wanted to, Stories by Mary Gateskill. Mary Gateskill has a book called Falling on My Knees or Falling Down on My Knees, something like that. Is it? No. Oh, fuck, I'm mixing that up. Anyways, Mary Gateskill is a very talented short story writer. She's a feminist, she's a woman, and yeah, I'm really just excited. I think she's queer too. I'm really, really, really excited to read her stuff again because I read some of her other stuff and she's really good. Nothing More Than Murder by Jim Thompson. Jim Thompson's one of them old school crime writers. Writes about like I don't know, like mafia and murder and all that kind of stuff. So when I saw this at Goodwill for $1.25, I was like, all right. And then Stephen King said, my favorite crime novelist, often imitated but never duplicated, is Jim Thompson. That says a lot. I like Stephen King too. So I'm really excited about this book. Now, have you ever had a book that you've looked for so long and you can't find it? I'm talking about in terms of not going to the regular bookstore and paying whatever it may be, either $10 or $20 or higher. Like I said, I go to used bookstores. I walk neighborhoods and look for like boxes of books that people leave out, and I also go to Goodwill. Anyways, there's a book that I've been wanting for a long, 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 long time. I got it yesterday. The Poet by Michael Connolly. It's about a murderer who leaves poems beside his victims, and I just thought it was a really cool concept. And I'm always looking to have like not just read about like poetry, but I like reading about poets. And now a murderer who's a poet, fucking cool. So I'm excited about this. The Poet. So let's move on to memoir. As I said, I write essays. I write poems, essays, and articles for different publications. Anyways, but I'm a memoirist. So I gotta read memoir. Asada, an autobiography by Asada Shakur. Asada Shakur is a very important person in terms of revolutionaries and women of color and fighting against the state and challenging the state on their racism amongst many other colonial outcomes. And she's now living in Cuba in exile. And I've heard about this book. People that I know have read this book, and now it's my turn. And I got this book for free. It was in a box, just ready to be taken. Thank you to whoever left it, and thank you, Asada, for all you've done. And I'm excited to read your stuff. The Long Walk, the true story of a trek to freedom. This is about a guy who escaped a Siberian prison, a gulag. Now, you've heard about the gulags and the horrific things that happen there, and people usually escape in threes, one guy out of the three being a dummy, not knowing that he's going to be the guy that they eat, etc., etc. Don't know if that stuff's true. My brother always talks about that. But it's a memoir, and it's about prison, and it's about escaping, and it's by Slavomir Rawicz, Rawicz. I probably totally massacred that last name. But anyways, and everybody, New York Times, Chicago Tribune, Los Angeles Times, everybody was like, this is a book you gotta read. As a memoirist, I gotta read it. Um, Iceberg Slim, Pimp. You've heard everybody from Jay Z to Snoop Dogg talk about Iceberg Slim, and anyways, he's a really good writer. This is a memoir, his memoir. Yeah, you might be wondering, holy, hold on a second, you're talking about stopping violence against women, and you've got all this stuff on your website about feminist things and all that. Well, yeah, but I'm a very widely read writer, and again, this is I also support writers of color. This is a black man. This is a writer of color. Does was he involved in things that I don't agree with? Yeah, but I can still learn from his craft, from his style, and I'm just always interested in interesting stories. So I'm gonna read the book, Pimp by Iceberg Slim. Move on now to essays. Okay, so Blue Like Jazz by Donald Miller. This was given to me at Christmas long time ago by my friend Anita, and it's a spiritual book. It's a guy on his spiritual journey, and he writes different essays about that journey. So Blue Like Jazz, and I think he mixes in jazz. Anyways, A Way of Being Free by Ben Okri. Ben Okri is a writer from the continent of Africa. He was born in Nigeria, and this is a book of essays and a lot of stuff about poetry in here. Anyways, Ben Okri is one of those people that laid the foundation for people like me. Yeah, I'm not black and I'm not from the continent of Africa, but I am a person of color. And people like this, really broke down doors for people like me. As did Iceberg Slim, as did Asada, as has Kevin Irie, so many different peoples, right? More people of color get published, easier for me. Teaching a Stone to Talk, Expeditions and Encounters by Annie Dillard. Annie Dillard is a very, very well known writer. She writes novels, she writes essays, so I'm very excited. I love taking walks. I'm a big walker. I walk sometimes in nature. I enjoy sometimes going to camping or just leaving the city, and maybe I'll get some writing done out of that as I have in the past, but I'll learn from one of the people who really does it well, Annie Dillard. So I'm excited about reading this book. Um, what do we got here? Nonfiction. Dirty Work: Immigrants in Domestic Service, Agriculture, and Prostitution in Sicily. Uh, I have a degree from University of Toronto, Aboriginal Studies and Anthropology. I had to read this type of stuff. I found this book. I don't really read academic stuff anymore, but it was free, and I've got a very big interest in migrant workers and sex workers. And so this takes place in Italy, which I know nothing about these two groups. So I'm excited to read this book, Dirty Work. And it's not about vilifying these people. I think it's more about like exposing how Italy mistreats them. That interests me a lot. Far From Over, The Music and Life of Drake by Dalton Higgins. Dalton Higgins is somebody that lives in my neighborhood, grew up in my neighborhood, and he's written like 4 or 5 books. And Drake went to the same high school that I went to. Unbelievable. Anyways, so I'm gonna support somebody from my neighborhood, a writer, Dalton Higgins, and read this book. And I'm gonna be featuring Dalton and this book in the very near future. So that's cool. Now to spiritual books. I have wanted to read this book for a long time, When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. Pema Chodron is a Buddhist. Yeah, she's a white person and she's a Buddhist, but she really takes it seriously. It's not somebody who, these white folk who just become Buddhist and a year later they write a book and stuff like that, and then, I don't know, 15 years later they're into another religion. No, she's a committed Buddhist. Hard advice for difficult times. And a lot of people have been affected positively by this book, so I'm excited about reading it. So, yeah. The Last Lecture by Randy Posh. This is a person who had pancreatic cancer. He was a father. He knew he was going to die, and he wrote this book specifically for his kids, The Last Lecture. And I'm really excited about reading this book. The Life You've Always Wanted: Spiritual Disciplines for Ordinary People by John Ortberg. Okay, I know that title sounds so shifty, but I actually read another book by John Ortberg that I liked. And then there's Spiritual Disciplines for Ordinary People. I'm totally an ordinary person, man. And so I'm looking at different things. And what I like is one of the chapters is called An Unhurried Life: The Practice of Slowing. We all need to slow down, man. And I have a feeling this is going to be a good book. Um, What's So Amazing About Grace by Philip Yancey. I read a Philip Yancey book in the winter called What Good Is God? That was on my winter 2013 reading list. Loved it. That was essays of his journeys and his lectures. And grace is something that I keep hearing about from different peoples. So now I'm going to be reading What's So Amazing About Grace. And I'll find out if it's amazing or not. Last but not least, motivational. Yeah, I'm into motivational books. You could call them self-help or business, whatever. They vary. Anyway, this one's called "You Don't Need a Title to Be a Leader" by Mark Sanborn, and I loved it. It was really, really good. Like I said, I've already read two books out of the list because we are like at January 9th or 10th, June 9th or July. We're in July 2013, July 9th or 10th at the moment. Yeah, I read this book already and I did love it. One thing critique I have of it already is like he had one line that I think should have been really stressed. Leadership is about service. A lot of people think leadership is about control and taking over and making millions. Leadership is about service. Whether you're a martial arts teacher, whether you're a writing instructor, whether you are, I don't know, working in anywhere, doing any type of work, paid or unpaid, leadership is about service. Mastery, The Keys to Success and Long-Term Fulfillment by George Leonard. Read it, loved it. He's an Aikido master. I don't like the word masters. I should say Aikido sensei. I don't like the word master or mastery or the word expert. Experts are always proven wrong. And master, it takes a lifetime to. No, what I should say, his definition I like. Mastery is not about perfection, it's about staying on the path. That's what mastery is. I like that. You don't master anything, you just stick to the path. And the one I'm reading now, The Art of Learning: An Inner Journey to Optimal Performance by Josh Waitzkin. Waitzkin was an eight-time chess champion in the U.S. and then became a martial arts champion. There's a film made about him called Searching for Bobby Fischer, and he's written a book about learning. And I love learning. He says in this book this book is not about martial arts. What I've realized is that what I am best at is not Tai Chi and it is not chess. What I am best at is the heart of learning. This book is the story of my method. That's what it's about. I like learning, and I'm always looking to learn new ways of learning, better ways of learning, apply what he says to my craft in terms of writing or the other things that I'm involved in. So thank you very much for watching this vlog. July 2013, my summer 2013 reading list. You can see past vlogs of reading lists. I also have vlogs about all the free books that I find. Anyways, yeah, thanks for joining me, and please subscribe to blackcoffeepoet.com and the Black Coffee Poet YouTube channel. If you want to read any of these books with me, whether you're in my city or not, if you're in my city, we can meet for coffee and talk about a book, or if not, we can Skype and talk about a book if you're interested, or books. You might like all of them, you might like none of them. Let me know. Comment under this video, comment on the website, and get reading. And if you're writing, get writing. Peace out. Take care. Have a good one.